All right, this is a lesson 11.2, and the topic of a lesson 11.2 is triangles. So what do we know about triangles? Well, first of all, triangles are the most basic of all polygons. They are a three-sided closed figure. That makes perfect sense, and that's what makes up a triangle. Well, let's talk about a couple of things. We can have acute triangles, we can have obtuse triangles, and we can have right triangles. And that is classifying them. This is classification according to angle measures. Classifying according to angles. All right? Well, that's one way in which we can talk about triangles. And another way we can talk about triangles or classify them is we can say that we have scalene, we have isosceles, or we have equilateral. And that's a different way of talking about triangles. That's classification according to classification with side lengths. Side lengths. Okay, well, let's talk about this first one. Let's talk about the acute, the obtuse, and the right. Okay, for something to be an acute triangle, all three angles are less than 90 degrees. All three angles are less than 90 degrees. For something to be a right triangle, well, you have one 90-degree angle. That's what makes it a right triangle. And for obtuse, it's impossible for all three angles to be greater than 90 degrees, but to have an obtuse triangle, you have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, fantastic. So that makes pretty good sense. This guy up here would be an example of an acute triangle. You can tell that none of those three vertices, let's call this triangle cat, right? None of those three vertices are greater than 90 degrees. That's an example of an acute triangle. And then let's talk about this idea of scalene. So scalene is a type of triangle where you have three different side lengths. None of them match. For an isosceles triangle, you have two sides with the same length. And for it to be an equilateral, that means equal sides. All three sides are the same. All right, so let's just do a couple of drawings. There's some things that happen when you look at diagrams of triangles. So I'm going to draw right now an example of a triangle. And right now you should be thinking to yourself, well, this has to be a right triangle because it has one 90-degree angle. That's totally true. So we can classify it by its angles, and then we can classify it by its sides. And I can look at these tick marks, and these three different tick marks tell me that none of the three sides have the same measure. So this particular example here is a right scalene. Okay, fantastic. Let's draw a different example. All right, I'm going to put one thing here. I'm going to put a dot here. Okay, I'm going to draw a line here. And I'm going to draw a line here, and I was careful when I was drawing this triangle, and I'm basically showing you that these two side lengths have the same measure, and this side length over here is a little bit bigger. And the other thing that you should realize is, whoa, that angle right there is greater than 90 degrees. So this triangle is an obtuse isosceles. This is an obtuse isosceles triangle. And when you have two side lengths that are the same, that also tells you that this angle over here and this angle over here, oh, I better change this now. I should put two angle arcs over here. So the two red angle arcs are saying that that angle has a certain measure, and these two matching green ones down here, these two matching green angles, they have the same measure. Those are congruent angles. And that happens automatically when you have two sides that are the same length. You're going to have two angles that have the same measure. All right, one more diagram and we'll move on with this classification of triangles. So I can have a triangle like this. And if I put a tick mark and a tick mark and a tick mark, that tells you that all three sides are equal. And if all three sides are equal, by default, then all three angles are equal. So this is called an equilateral triangle. It happens to be acute. And it's also called the regular triangle. A regular polygon, the definition of a regular polygon of any kind, regular polygons, all sides are the same. They're all the same length. And for it to be a regular polygon, in this case it's a regular triangle, all angles are the same. And so the equilateral triangle is the regular triangle.